I was slandered as a homewrecker. And on the day when the online abuse was at its worst, the agency terminated my contract overnight and kicked me out. The relentless insults and curses nearly drowned me in my rented room. The next day, my dad called, his tone as impatient as ever. Sue ran. Are you done playing around outside? If you're done, come back and inherit the family fortune. Later, at the annual meeting of my former company, I arrived in a custom evening gown, driving a Rolls-Royce, and descended upon the scene as the largest investor. Gracefully walking up to my ex-boyfriend and the innocent girl. 1. Smack. A termination contract was slammed down on the table by my manager. Sister Wong. Sue ran. The company has already been more than reasonable. The entire internet is cursing you. What more do you want? Hurry up and sign. Take this little severance pay and get lost. Don't dirty the company's floor. I looked at the glaring $30,000 on the contract and felt it was laughable. 3 years ago, I was discovered by a talent scout and signed with a company called Starlight Entertainment. Over the past 3 years, I have played countless minor roles and acted in over a dozen web dramas whose names I can't even recall. I worked myself to exhaustion. But most of the money went to the company. What I received was barely enough to pay the rent. Now, just because of a baseless third-party scandal, they didn't hesitate to kick me out. The protagonists of the scandal are the company's favored rising star, Bai Weiwei, and her secret boyfriend, the young president of our important partner company, Qinyuan Technology, Qin Yi, and I am the one they used to cover up their romance and simply stir up publicity, the so-called third party. Wang Jia. I raised my head, my eyes bloodshot, my voice hoarse as if it had been sanded. The photos are doctored. The chance meeting at the hotel was staged by her. Even those so-called insiders leaking the news are the work of her team. You all know that I am being wronged. Wronged. Sister Wang laughed as if she had heard the biggest joke in the world. She crossed her arms and looked down at me, saying, in this circle, who cares whether you're wronged or not? Everyone only sees what they want to see. She pointed at the inappropriate comments on her phone and read them to me word by word. Who is this woman? She has a fox-like charm. No wonder she's trying to seduce our Weiwei's man. Has President Shin gone blind to be with someone like her? Compared to our fairy Weiwei, it's like comparing heaven and earth. Get out of the entertainment industry. Sue ran. Get out of the entertainment industry. Did you hear that? Sue ran. Sister Wang's lips curled into a cruel smile. This is public opinion. Right now. You are the rat everyone is shouting at. President Shin and Weiwei's relationship has actually become stronger because of this farce you started. Countless fans are wishing them well. You are just a stepping stone in their love story. Once you're used up, it's time to be kicked aside. My heart sank a little. I looked towards the corner of the office. At the man who had remained silent all this time, Shin Yi. He used to be my boyfriend. We were together for a year, secretly dating, never going public. I thought he truly loved me, appreciating my efforts and talents. Ironically, it was only when Bai Weiwei slapped a candid photo of us entering and exiting the hotel in my face that I realized he was playing both sides. That photo was taken from an awkward angle. In reality, I simply bumped into him at the hotel entrance, and he just helped me steady myself. But under Bai Weiwei's manipulation, that photo became the ironclad evidence of my midnight rendezvous and ambitions to rise. At this moment, Qin Yi sat there, dressed in a suit. His expression stern. Since I walked in, he hadn't glanced at me even once, as if I were a bothersome puff of air. His indifference, sharper than Sister Wang's sarcasm, stabbed deep into my heart. Qin Yi. I finally couldn't help it and called out his name with a trembling voice. Don't you have anything to say? He finally lifted his eyelids. In those deep eyes that I once adored so much, there was only cold disdain left at this moment. What is there to say? He opened his mouth, his tone more piercing than the cold wind of December. Sir Ong. I warned you long ago to know your place. Weiwei is kind and doesn't hold it against you. But you absolutely should not have set your sights on her. I gave you opportunities and resources. It is your own greed that has led you to touch things you shouldn't. I was trembling with rage, almost ready to laugh. Opportunities. Resources. Are you referring to that role that was almost harassed by the investors? Or the one that was chopped down to a supporting role after 3 months of filming? Xin Yi, tell me honestly, in this past year we've been together, have I ever benefited from you even a penny? Have I ever asked you to make our relationship public? I even went to the hospital alone when I was sick, just to avoid giving you trouble. Who is truly greedy? Who enjoys the affection of 2 women while pretending to be the victim? My questioning fell like a stone thrown into the still surface of a lake. Xin Ye's expression instantly turned extremely unpleasant. Seeing this, Bai Weiwei immediately leaned over weakly, her eyes reddening, and tears rolled down her cheeks. Ah Yi. Please don't be angry. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, Sister Su Ran wouldn't be so agitated. She sobbed, looking at me, her gaze filled with a proud challenge. Sister Su Ran, I know you like Ah Yi, but matters of the heart can't be forced. You're still young, and you'll meet someone better in the future. I beg you, please don't hurt us anymore. Okay. What a fragile, enchanting, and understanding White Lotus. The office door wasn't closed properly, and a number of colleagues gathered outside to watch, hearing Bai Weiwei's words. They looked at me with even more contempt and disdain. How shameless. Bai Weiwei has already lowered herself this much, yet she's still so aggressive. To be a mistress and act so self-righteous. I've never seen anyone so cheap. Serves them right for being terminated. People like them should just roll out of the entertainment industry. All the voices felt like countless needles, densely poking into my skin. I looked at the radiant couple in front of me, one cold and heartless, the other hypocritical and pretentious, and suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of disgust. I smiled. In everyone's astonishment, I picked up the pen and swiftly signed my name on the contract of termination. Then, I tossed the contract back to Sister Wang and said, enunciating each word, this damn company, this filthy place. Even if you knelt down begging me, I wouldn't care to stay. Having said that, I straightened my back and, amidst the disdainful gazes of the crowd, walked out of the Starshine Entertainment's doors without looking back. The moment I stepped out of the building, the afternoon sun pierced my eyes painfully, and tears finally streamed down my face uncontrollably. 3 years of youth were wasted. 2. Returning to that less than 30 square meter rented room, I threw myself heavily onto the bed and covered my head with the blanket. My phone buzzed wildly on the pillow. Without even looking, I knew it was those omnipresent media and angry netizens. I simply turned off my phone and let the darkness and silence engulf me. I had no idea how long I had slept until I was startled awake by a series of urgent knocks at the door. I thought it was the landlord coming to collect the rent, and I struggled to get up and open the door. Standing at the door was someone I never expected, Zhou Xiang. He is a somewhat well-known male actor in the industry and one of my few friends. We had worked together on a web series. He played the second male lead and I played the third female lead, so we are considered friends through adversity. Seeing my exhausted appearance, his brows furrowed tightly. Saran, are you okay? He was carrying a large plastic bag filled with food and drinks. I won't die. I stepped aside to let him in, my voice still hoarse. He put the things down on the small dining table, glanced around my humble dwelling, and sighed. I saw the things online. Xinghui also issued a termination statement. He paused, anger creeping into his tone. What they've done is too extreme. Xinyi and Bai Weiwei are simply inhuman. At a time when everyone was avoiding me, hearing a fair word made my nose sting. And I almost cried again. It's okay. It's all in the past. I forced a smile. Anyway, I don't want to stay there. What are you planning to do next? Zhou Xiang asked with concern. Do you want me to ask about my current company? It's not big. but at least the boss is a decent person. I shook my head. Xiang. Thank you, but I'm tired. I was really tired. For the past 3 years, I felt like a wind-up top, spinning non-stop, auditioning, filming, rushing to events, not daring to slack off even for a moment. I thought that as long as I worked hard enough, one day I would be noticed. But reality slapped me hard in the face. In this circle, hard work is the least valuable thing. Capital, background, and connections are the shortcuts to the top of the mountain. And I have nothing. I might not be suited for this circle, I said softly, as if speaking to myself, and also as if speaking to Zhou Xiang. Zhou Xiang fell silent. He knows my temperament. Stubborn and proud. The decisions I make are hard to change. No matter what decision you make, I support you, he finally said. But you can't just let it go. With Bai Weiwei and Xinyi treating you this way, you can't let them be so smug. I let out a wry smile. What can I do? I'm broke and infamous now. And one is a popular young actress. The other is a rising star in the business world. What can I use to fight against them? There's always a way. Zhou Xiang's gaze was firm. Evidence. As long as we can find evidence that they framed you, we can turn the tables. Evidence. Of course I want to find out. However, Bai Weiwei is meticulous in her work. That edited photo was handled by a skilled professional, making it nearly impossible to detect any flaws. Those marketing accounts and insiders who were paid off certainly won't admit to anything. This is a war that has been unequal from the very beginning. Zhou Xiang and I talked for a long time. He kept comforting me, encouraging me, even offering his savings, saying he wanted to lend me some to get through this tough time. I refused his money, but the warmth in my heart drove away quite a bit of the cold. After seeing Zhou Xiang off, I sat alone in the darkness, lost in thought. Perhaps Zhou Xiang was right. I can lose, but I can't lose so cowardly, even if I have to leave. I must hold my head high and leave with my integrity intact. I rebooted the device. A flood of abusive messages and missed calls instantly flooded in. I ignored them and went straight to Weibo, posting a new update on my account that had already been the target of hundreds of thousands of insults. There were no lengthy arguments, nor was there any sob story to evoke pity. There was only one picture and one sentence. The picture was of the contract terminating my agreement with Starshine Entertainment, where I drew a big cross over the 30,000 severance fee with a red pen. The caption read, "Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Times Square, I will hold a personal press conference to address everything. Also, I find this 30,000 disgusting." Once posted on Weibo, it instantly exploded. The comments section rose to tens of thousands of posts in just a few minutes. Oh. Is she desperate enough to jump over the wall, holding a press conference? Who does she think she is? An international superstar, laughing to death, complaining that 30,000 is dirty. If you're so capable, don't take it. I think she wants to seize the opportunity to extort some more money, right? I'm just waiting for tomorrow's large-scale social death scene. I've already set up my little stool. Bai Weiwei and President Shen are really in bad luck, being tangled up with this crazy dog. They must have really bad luck for 8 generations. The curses continue, but this time, I didn't turn off my phone. I looked at those malicious words, yet felt surprisingly calm inside. It is always exceptionally quiet before the storm. What I need to do is to stir up an even greater storm capable of destroying everything. 3. In the dead of night, I dialed a number I hadn't called in 3 years. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. Hello. A stern yet familiar voice came from the receiver, laced with a hint of annoyance at being disturbed. Dad. It's me, I said softly. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. Then, his tone softened a bit, but it still carried a hint of severity. Su Ran. You still remember to call me, Dad. I took a deep breath. suppressing the bitterness in my heart. I don't want to play outside anymore. The man on the other end of the phone is my father, Su Jinbong. He is also the chairman of the top domestic conglomerate Shingshe Group. Back then, I was dissatisfied with the commercial marriage he arranged for me and, in a fit of anger, ran away from home. I severed all financial ties with my family and signed with Starshine Entertainment, hoping to make a name for myself on my own. I naively believed that I could escape the identity of Miss Su and live out my true self. In hindsight, it really was a joke. Had enough fun. There was no hint of anger or joy in Su Jinbong's voice. After being bullied like that outside, are you feeling comfortable now? My nose tinged with a sourness, and tears almost fell. Dad, all right. Stop pretending to be pitiful in front of me. His tone was still harsh, but the content of his words left me dumbfounded. Your little boyfriend's company. What was it called? Qinyuan Technology. Right. This morning, the stock price dropped by 5 points, losing 30 billion in market value, all because of that homewrecker rumor of yours. He paused for a moment, as if evaluating my achievements. It's done pretty decently. At least it hasn't embarrassed the Su family to the point of disgrace. Letting him lose some money can also be seen as a way to vent your frustrations. I opened my mouth, but couldn't find my voice for a long time. I thought he was indifferent to me, but it turns out he knows every little detail about my actions. Then, what about Xinghui Entertainment? I whispered. Just a small-time workshop. Su Jinbong's tone was filled with disdain. I've already asked Old Li to handle it. Tomorrow, you'll see the results. Old Li, a trusted confidant of my father's for decades, was the second-in-command of the Shingshe Group. Uncle Li, Dad, I'm holding a press conference tomorrow. I shared my plans with him. On the other end of the line, Su Jinbong let out a hum. Just a little play. But since you want to play, make it a good show. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, have Old Li pick you up. He will take care of the press conference arrangements. You don't need to worry about anything. Just think of how to rub that couple's faces in the dirt. My daughter, Su Jinbong's daughter, can be ignorant, can be willful, but she is absolutely not to be wronged in the slightest. I hung up the phone and let out a long sigh of relief. That heart that had been hanging and falling down finally found its ground. It turns out that no matter how far I fly, there is always a mountain behind me that can shield me from the wind and rain. A sleepless night. At 8:50 the next morning, a black Maybach arrived punctually at the bottom of my rundown building. The car door opened, and Li Bo, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit with his hair neatly combed, stood respectfully at the side of the car. Miss, the chairman asked me to pick you up. The neighbors around poked their heads out, looking at the luxurious car that was completely out of place in the environment. Buzzing with discussion, I ignored their stares and calmly got into the car. Inside the car, Uncle Li handed me a tablet. Miss, this is prepared for you by the chairman. Please have a look. Are you satisfied? I took the tablet, and the screen displayed the latest news from Starshine Entertainment. Breaking news. The largest shareholder of Starshine Entertainment has changed, and Prosperity Group has made a strong investment. Rumor has it that major personnel changes are taking place at Starshine Entertainment, with the former CEO and several executives being dismissed overnight. Exclusive report. The termination statement issued by Xinghui Entertainment yesterday regarding artist Su Ran was a unilateral violation of regulations by senior management, which has been overturned by the new shareholders, and an internal investigation has been launched. One news after another exploded online like heavy bombs, and the culprit sits right in front of me, smiling while explaining. The chairman held an emergency meeting last night, leveraging some connections, and acquired 51 of Xinghui Entertainment's shares at a price they couldn't refuse. Li Bo's tone was as flat as if he were saying the weather is nice today. The former CEO, Mr. Zhang, who was the one to decisively fire you, along with the general manager, Ms. Wang, have been escorted out of the company by security. As for Miss Bai Weiwei, all her schedules and resources have been indefinitely frozen. My hands trembled slightly. This is the power of capital. Overnight. A flourishing company can change its name and identity. Overnight. Someone who has trampled me underfoot can be sent away in disgrace. Young lady. This is your new identity. Uncle Lee handed over a gilded business card. Qingshe Group CEO Su Ran. My gaze settled on the 4 words Chief Executive Officer. Dad. Key. The chairman said that since you've returned, you should reclaim everything that belongs to you. Li Bo smiled and said, Xinghui Entertainment is now yours. Today's press conference is not only to clear your name but also to clean house as the new owner of Xinghui. I clenched the business card in my hand. A long-forgotten surge of passion began to bubble up within my chest. Bai Weiwei. Shin Yi, are you ready? The real show has just begun. 4. Times Square. A sea of people. Almost all the reporters from mainstream media in the country have gathered, armed with their cameras and microphones, surrounding the press conference tightly. They all wanted to see what tricks the mistress scorned by the entire internet, could come up with next. As I stepped out of the Maybach, there was a brief moment of stunned silence at the scene. Then, the flashes went off like crazy. I was dressed in a well-tailored white Chanel suit, with an exquisite and polished makeup look, stepping in 10-centimeter high heels, exuding a powerful aura. This appearance was in stark contrast to their imagination of a weeping, haggard, forsaken wife. Su Ran. May I ask if you held this press conference to apologize for your actions as a mistress? What is the true nature of your relationship with Mr. Chen? Is it true that rumors say he is financially supporting you? Starshine Entertainment has terminated your contract. What identity will you use to hold this press conference? Are you trying to ride the wave of attention one last time? The reporters, like sharks sensing blood, rudely thrust the microphone towards my mouth. A dozen bodyguards in black quickly stepped forward, forming a wall in front of me to separate me from the frenzied reporters. I kept my gaze straight ahead, walking up to the podium under the escort of Uncle Lee. There was only a chair and a microphone on the stage. Simple, yet full of power. I sat down, adjusted the position of the microphone, and my gaze calmly swept over every excited, curious, or disdainful face in the audience. The venue gradually fell silent. Everyone is waiting for me to speak up, waiting for me to cry out or to argue. At this moment, in the president's office of Xingyuan Technology, Qin Yi is watching the live broadcast on a massive screen. Beside him sits Bai Weiwei, looking as if she's been caught in the rain. Ah Yi, what on earth does she want to do? Bai Weiwei nervously twisted her fingers. She wouldn't dare to blurt out and expose our relationship, would she? Qin Ye's brows were tightly knitted, his expression dark. He didn't expect that Su Ran actually had the audacity to pull off such a stunt. Don't worry. She has no evidence, Qin Yi said coldly. I've already made arrangements with Xinghui. She absolutely won't stir up any trouble. Today, she will only humiliate herself. He has always been confident in his judgment. Su Ran, an orphan with no background or connections. What else does she have besides that insignificantly small amount of spirit? However, in the next moment, the words of the woman on the screen instantly froze the confidence on his face. 5. First of all, I want to thank all the media friends for taking the time to attend my personal press conference. I spoke, my voice clear, resonating through the entire square via the microphone. I know that you are all here today to hear a story about the mistress, the wealthy, and betrayal. The eyes of the reporters in the audience lit up, and they all picked up their pens, ready to take notes. But before I tell the story, I would like to announce a few things. I paused, looking at the audience, a knowing smile playing at the corners of my mouth. First, starting today, I, Su Ran, will officially take on the role of executive president of Qingshe Group. As soon as the words were spoken, the audience erupted in an uproar. What? Qingshe Group? Is it the largest conglomerate in the country? Xingshi Group. I can't be hearing this wrong. Can I? Her. The executive CEO. What kind of international joke is this? She's an 18-line actress. How could she possibly? The reporters looked at each other, their faces filled with shock and disbelief. Chen Yi, sitting in front of the screen, suddenly stood up from the sofa. His eyes fixed on the screen as if he were trying to see through it. Xingshi Group. Su Ran. How could these two words be related? Bai Weiwei was also taken aback. She opened her mouth and couldn't say a word for a long time, and I didn't give them any time to digest. Secondly, I raised my second finger, my voice not loud but each word clear. Last night, the Xingshi Group officially completed its acquisition of controlling shares in Xinghui Entertainment. That means from now on, I, Su Ran, am also the largest owner of Xinghui Entertainment. Boom. If the first piece of news was a bomb, then the second was a nuclear bomb. The entire square was in an uproar. Oh my god. Is this true? Starshine Entertainment has been acquired by Xingshi. So, she wasn't terminated. She came back to be the boss. This twist is too sudden. No wonder she is so confident. It turns out she's the princess in disguise. Public opinion shifted dramatically within just 1 minute. The journalists who had just been attacking me with their words now looked at me with a mix of respect and flattery. Su, President Su, is this true? A bold reporter asked with a trembling voice. I smiled slightly, not answering directly, but looked toward Uncle Li beside me. Uncle Li understood and took a step forward, projecting a stack of documents stamped with a bright red seal onto the large screen behind him. Equity Transfer Agreement. Business Change Information. Board Appointment Letter. Black and white. Solid evidence. All voices of doubt ceased at this moment. Chen Ye's expression had gone from shock to a deathly pale. He finally understood just how absurdly wrong he had been. He thought Su Ran was a rabbit that could be easily manipulated. But little did he know, she was a fierce tiger lurking nearby, never revealing her fangs. Xingshi Group. Su family. He recalled some rumors about this mysterious financial magnate. The rumors say that the current head of the Su family, Su Jinbang, has only one beloved daughter, who has never appeared in public. Could it be? A ridiculous yet terrifying thought emerged in Chen Ye's mind. He felt his breathing becoming difficult. No, it's impossible, Bai Weiwei murmured in a daze, her face even paler than Chen Ye's. How could she be from the Su family? She's clearly so impoverished. She recalled the various difficulties and humiliations she had inflicted on Su Ran in the past, remembering how just yesterday she had gleefully watched her being thrown out. A bone-chilling cold surged from the soles of her feet straight to the crown of her head. She was finished. She knew that she was completely done for. 6. At the press conference, after a brief silence, there erupted a commotion more fervent than ever before. Mr. Su, since you are the new owner of Xinghui, what are your thoughts on the previous third-party incident? Mr. Su, is it true that Bai Weiwei framed you? How will the company handle her? Mr. Su, what is the nature of your relationship with Mr. Chen Yi? Questions came one after another, but this time, the address had changed from Su Ran to the respectful general manager Su. This is reality. When you possess enough power, the whole world will treat you with kindness. I raised my hand and gently pressed down. The noisy scene fell silent in an instant. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be in a hurry. The story is just beginning. My gaze traveled through the lens, as if I could see the two pallid figures on the other side of the screen. What I'm about to tell you is a story of the farmer and the snake. There was a young girl who naively believed that as long as she worked hard, she could achieve her dreams. She concealed her family background and entered the entertainment industry as an ordinary person. She met a man. The man treated her well, gentle and considerate. The girl fell in love with him, thinking she had found true love. However, She did not know that while he was dating her, he was also tangled up with another female star. The female star envied the girl, fearing that the man would be taken away, and thus devised a conspiracy. I spoke eloquently, without naming names. But everyone knew who I was referring to. The cameras at the scene were madly capturing every one of my expressions. She forged photos, bribed online trolls, and slandered the girl as the third wheel who had interfered in their relationship. Overnight, the girl became the enemy of the entire internet, mercilessly abandoned by the man she loved and the company she trusted. As I said this, my eyes slightly glistened with tears. This time it's not acting, but a genuine outpouring of emotion. The scars on the heart are revealed again. And it still hurts. In the audience, a sensitive female journalist has already begun to secretly wipe her tears. The girl is very sad and desperate, but she has not been defeated, because she remembers that, although she is not a princess, she has a castle at home. I shifted the subject, my tone becoming sharp once more, so the girl wiped away her tears, returned home to inherit her castle. The first thing she did was come back and trample the venomous snake that had bitten her, along with the man who had allowed the snake to roam free. With that, I snapped my fingers. On the large screen behind me, the image switched again. This time, a high-definition video was playing. In the video, inside a dressing room of Starlight Entertainment, Bai Weiwei was proudly chatting with her assistant. Bai Weiwei spoke in an extremely venomous tone. That Su Ran is such an idiot. I casually had someone retouch a few pictures, bought a couple of trending topics, and just like that, I destroyed her. Does she really think Xinyi likes her? What a joke. Xinyi is just playing with her. The only person in his heart has always been me. The assistant flattered. You're truly brilliant, Sister Weiwei. This move kills two birds with one stone, driving away your rival and tormenting the fans, solidifying your fairy tale romance with President Shin. The heat is off the charts. Bai Weiwei let out a sharp laugh. That's only natural. After the storm passes, I'll have Yi forgive me and stage another wave of passionate reconciliation. By then, my worth will have doubled. As for that bitch Su Ran, let her carry the label of the other woman for the rest of her life, rolling out of this circle and never being able to rise again. The video isn't long, but the amount of information is immense. The scene fell into a deep silence. Everyone was stunned into silence by Bai Weiwei's vicious demeanor, which was in stark contrast to her innocent appearance. Is this really the pure and kind fairy Weiwei they speak of? This is clearly a venomous snake spitting out lies. Immediately after, a series of evidence appeared on the big screen, including comparisons of the original images with the edited versions, screenshots of transfers from Bai Weiwei's team to marketing accounts, and chat records between her assistant and paparazzi. The chain of evidence is complete and clear, firmly nailing down the fact that Bai Weiwei framed me. My goodness. It turns out Su Ran was truly wronged. This Bai Weiwei is just too disgusting. How could her heart be so cruel? I can't believe I actually scolded Su Ran with genuine feelings before. Now all I want to do is slap myself twice. Xinyi is also a scumbag. He's two-timing and even helps the mistress bully the original partner. I'm disgusted. The public opinion, at this moment, has completely reversed. Before, they criticized me fiercely, and now they are just as harsh in criticizing Bai Weiwei and Xinyi. In front of the screen, Xinyi swayed slightly, almost unable to stand firm. He looked at the ironclad evidence on the screen, watching Bai Weiwei's face twisted in fear, and felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. He had always thought that Su Ran was the one with deep schemes. He had always thought that Bai Weiwei was the innocent and kind one, needing protection. It turned out, he was the biggest fool of all. He was toyed with by a woman, personally destroying another woman who perhaps truly loved him. No. Let me explain. Bai Weiwei rushed over trying to grab his hand, but he shook her off with a forceful gesture. Get lost. Qin Ye's eyes were filled with bloodshot veins. as if he were about to devour someone. He finally understood why Xingshi Group suddenly targeted him. This wasn't business competition. It was revenge. It was Su Ran, or rather, the Su family behind her seeking revenge on him, a giant he couldn't afford to offend at all. Cold sweat instantly soaked his back. 7. The story is over. At the press conference, I calmly looked at the faces in the audience, filled with righteous indignation. Now, as the newly appointed chairman of Xinghui Entertainment, I would like to announce several decisions. First, Xinghui Entertainment will officially file a lawsuit against Bai Weiwei for malicious defamation and legal responsibility for damaging the reputation of the company and artists. Meanwhile, I personally announce that I will utilize all resources of myself and the Xingshi Group to impose an indefinite ban on Bai Weiwei across the industry. I hope that from now on, we will no longer see that disgusting face in any public setting. Second, for all marketing accounts and individuals involved in spreading rumors during this incident, the legal department of Xinghui Entertainment will issue a lawyer's letter to you within an hour. Not a single one will escape. Third, I paused. My eyes became cold. On behalf of Xingshi Group, I announce that from now on, all commercial cooperation with Xinyuan Technology will be terminated. Moreover, Xingshi Group will comprehensively snipe all the businesses of Xinyuan Technology in the market regardless of cost, until it completely disappeared from this world. Every word I say is like a heavy hammer, hitting everyone's hearts hard, decisive and merciless. Everyone was intimidated by the powerful and cold aura that emanated from me. Where has the bullied, insignificant actress gone? This is clearly a queen holding the power of life and death. After I finished speaking, I stood up and gave a slight bow to all the cameras in the audience. My words are finished. Thank you all. Then, under the gaze of everyone, I turned and left the press conference. What remained was a chaotic battlefield of public opinion, and 2 individuals already sentenced to death. As I sat in the returning Maybach, I felt as if all the strength in my body had been drained. The strength and calmness displayed on stage just now were all an act. My hands were continuously trembling slightly. Miss, you did very well. Uncle Lee handed over a bottle of water, his eyes filled with approval. The chairman will surely be very pleased when he sees this. I took a sip of water, and only then did I feel my racing heart calm down a bit. Uncle Lee, am I too ruthless? I asked softly. Uncle Lee chuckled. Being merciful to the enemy is being cruel to yourself. If you don't eliminate them completely today, they will have the chance to bite you back in the future. The marketplace is like a battlefield. There's still much for you to learn. I nodded and looked at the rapidly receding streets outside the window. Yes, I am no longer that naive Su Ran. From the moment I decided to return home, I had to learn how to be a qualified heir, how to protect my castle. The phone vibrated. There was a new message from Zhou Xiang. Your Majesty, you look stunning today. Take my knees. Followed by a worship emoji. I looked at the message and couldn't help but laugh. The little gloom in my heart also dissipated significantly. Perhaps there are still genuine feelings in this world. I just hadn't seen them clearly before. 8. In the following days, the entire entertainment and finance circles were stirred up by the waves created by my press conference. Bai Weiwei became a rat crossing the street, with everyone calling for her downfall. All her endorsements were revoked. The roles she played in films and dramas were urgently recast or censored, and her Weibo account was also officially banned. She has completely socially died. I heard she was unwilling to accept this, wanting to find the media to weep and plead for sympathy. But not a single media outlet dared to take her up. Offending the Xingshi Group is equivalent to being sentenced to death in the entire industry. As for Xin Yi, his days are even harder. The stock price of Xinyuan Technology has fallen for 3 consecutive days after Xingshi Group announced the termination of cooperation. Several major projects of the company were directly snatched away by us with stronger capital and resources. Partners are dis. He kept calling, texting, and even showed up downstairs at the Xingshi Group, trying to intercept me, but he was unceremoniously asked to leave by the bodyguards arranged by Uncle Lee. I never met him even once, nor did I reply to any of his messages, because I know what he wants to say is nothing more than an apology, regret, and to beg me to let him go. Ridiculous. When he trampled on me back then, did he ever think there would be a day like today? It's too late to beg me now. I don't have so much time to deal with a worthless defeated opponent. I am busy getting familiar with the vast business of Xingshi Group. Busy learning how to be a real president. My dad, Su Jinbong, seems determined to be a hands-off boss. After throwing me into the president's office, he took my mom and went traveling around the world. A vast business empire rests heavily on my shoulders. At first, I found it quite hard to adapt. The old fellows in the boardroom who built the empire alongside my father, though outwardly respectful to me, could not hide the skepticism and distrust in their eyes. They didn't believe that I, a girl in my early 20s with no experience, could manage such a large group. At the first board meeting, a director named Zhang gave me a cold shoulder in front of everyone. Mr. Su, you've just taken over the company and are not familiar with the business yet. The real estate project in the west of the city is crucial to the group's strategic layout for the next 10 years. I think it would be more prudent for me to continue following up on it. His implication was obvious. He did not trust my abilities and wanted to undermine me. The other directors also sat with their eyes on their noses and their noses on their hearts, wearing expressions as if they were watching a show. I sat in the main seat, watching this self-important director Zhang. A cold laugh rising in my heart. Before coming here, Uncle Lee had already shown me the profiles of all the directors. This director Zhang's hands weren't exactly clean, relying on his status as a veteran. He had salvaged quite a bit from the project in the west of the city. I didn't say anything, just gently pushed a document in front of him. Chairman Zhang, please take a look at this first. Chairman Zhang picked up the document with confusion, and just after a glance, his face turned pale in an instant. It was a detailed investigation report. Clearly documented on it were the ways he took advantage of his position to subcontract projects to his relatives' companies, how he inflated project costs, and how he embezzled millions of public funds. Every account has its evidence. The proof is conclusive. You. Director Zhang's hand began to tremble as he pointed at me, unable to say a word for a long time. I picked up the coffee beside me and took a gentle sip, my tone indifferent. Director Zhang, my dad often says that when people get old, they should enjoy their old age at home, indulging in their grandchildren. Running the company is too laborious and not good for one's health. My voice was not loud, but everyone in the meeting room heard me clearly. I'll give you two options. First, take your shares and retire with honor. I can pretend I don't know about your matters. Second, I put down my coffee cup, making a crisp sound. I'll hand this over to the disciplinary committee. You can spend the rest of your life in prison reflecting on your actions. The entire room fell silent. All the board members looked at me with a terrified expression. They never expected that this seemingly harmless young lady would be so ruthless, starting off by going straight for the oldest troublemaker. To kill a chicken to warn the monkey. Cold sweat dripped down from Director Zhang's forehead. He struggled for a long time, and in the end, it was as if all his strength had been drained away, leaving him slumped in the chair. I choose the first one. Very good. I nodded. Uncle Lee, please help Director Zhang with the retirement procedures. By the way, send all the documents related to the West City project to my office. Starting today, I will personally take charge of this project. Yes, General Su, Uncle Lee responded respectfully. I glanced around at the silent board members in the conference room and spoke softly. Is there anyone else who has an opinion? No one dared to speak. The looks they gave me had shifted from skepticism to utter fear. I know that from today onwards, the Xingshi Group truly belongs to me. 9. Days pass by in the busyness, one after another. I am like a sponge, frantically absorbing all knowledge about business, management, and finance. I work over 16 hours a day, reviewing reports more than I have ever read scripts in my life. It's exhausting, but also very fulfilling. The feeling of having a massive business empire in your hands is far more real and exhilarating than being a widely admired star. That day, I had just wrapped up a multinational video conference and was rubbing my swollen temples, ready to take a break. My new secretary, a capable girl named Xiaochen, knocked on the door and walked in. President Su. There's a Mr. Zhou here to see you. He says he's a friend of yours. Mr. Zhou. I was taken aback for a moment before I finally reacted. It's Zhou Xiang. Since I returned, I've been so busy that I completely forgot about him. Let him in. Soon. Zhou Xiang appeared at the door of my office. He saw me freeze for a moment, then break into a big smile. Mr. Su, this office of yours is much more impressive than that little shabby rental you had before. He teased. I gave him a look and said, sit down. Would you like something to drink? No need. No need. He waved his hand, looking somewhat awkward. I was just passing by. Thought I'd stop by to see you. I looked at him, knowing he was certainly not just passing by. Ever since my identity was exposed, those friends and classmates who hadn't been in touch for 800 years have been trying every means to curry favor with me. But Zhou Xiang was the only one who had never reached out to me first. If he hadn't come today, I might have almost forgotten that he still owed me a celebration banquet. Just say what's on your mind. There's no need to be polite with me. I poured him a glass of water. Zhou Xiang hesitated for a moment before pulling a script from his bag and handing it to me. Su ran. I know it might be a bit out of place for me to say this right now. He scratched his head, looking somewhat embarrassed. This is a script written by a friend of mine, and I think it's really great, but I haven't been able to get any investment for it. I was thinking. I took the script, and the title on the cover read Chasing the Light. What are you talking about? I asked casually. Tell a story about dreams and perseverance. Zhou Xiang's eyes lit up. The protagonist is a very talented musician, but he's very poor and quite unlucky. Constantly underappreciated. Yet he never gave up. And in the end, through his own efforts, he stands on the biggest stage. I opened the script and quickly started to skim through it. The story is not complicated, even a bit cliché, but there's a sincerity and passion that shines through the lines. It's very much like my former self. Very much so. The Zhou Xiang in front of me. You want me to invest? I asked. No. 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 Zhou Xiang quickly waved his hand. That's not what I meant. I just think this story is great, and if it can be made into a film, it would surely inspire a lot of people. I know that under the Xingshi banner, there are also film and television companies. So, I wanted to ask you to take a look and see if there's a chance. He spoke very sincerely, without a trace of intent to exploit my status. He simply wanted to fight for an opportunity for his friend and for a good work. I closed the script and looked at him. I've left the script. I'll give you a response in 3 days. Really? That's great. Zhou Xiang was so excited that he almost jumped up. Thank you. Su ran. No. Su general manager. All right. Stop joking around. I smiled and said, how have you been lately? Is everything going well at the company? At the mention of this, Zhou Xiang's expression darkened for a moment. Just like that. Our company is small, with no good resources. I've been trying out for a second male lead role recently, and the competition is pretty fierce. I guess. The hope isn't great. I was intrigued and asked, what play? It's a new movie by director Zhang, called Beneath the Abyss, a mystery film. Director Zhang is one of the top directors in the country, winning awards left and right. His films are the coveted resources that all actors dream of. I tapped on the table and called out to the door. Xiao Qin. Xiao Qin immediately walked in. Mr. Su, what can I do for you? Help me schedule a meeting with director Zhang Qiming. Just say that Xingshi Group wants to discuss a collaboration with him. Got it. Zhou Ziong listened on the side, utterly dumbfounded. Su ran. Didn't you say the competition was fierce? I raised an eyebrow at him. What I enjoy most is turning competition into favoritism. 10. The meeting with director Zhang Qiming went smoothly. As the top commercial group in the country, no one would refuse the olive branch extended by Xingshi. I didn't directly bring up the matter of Zhou Ziong, but first chatted with him about the script. Director Zhang is a pure creator. Once he starts talking about movies, he can't stop. After hearing my commercial suggestions regarding the script of Under the Abyss, his gaze towards me transformed from polite to appreciative. Mr. Su, I really didn't expect that at such a young age. Your understanding of film is so profound. The points you raised truly resonate with me. Director Zhang, you flatter me. I smiled and said, I'm just a businessman. When a businessman looks at something, the first thing they consider is the return on investment. I have high hopes for the project Beneath the Abyss. Therefore, Xingshi Group has decided to be the main investor and inject 500 million into this film. 500 million. Director Zhang was so shocked that he almost stood up from his chair. His original budget was only 100 million. An investment of 500 million would allow him to turn this film into an epic masterpiece. I only have a small request. I changed the subject. Mr. Su, please go ahead. Don't say just one. Even 10 will do. Director Zhang said excitedly. I want the male second lead in this play to be played by Zhou Ziong. Director Zhang was momentarily stunned, and then as if a light bulb had gone off in his head, he revealed an expression of I see. Don't worry, Mr. Su. This role could only be played by him. And so, the matter was settled. When I told this news to Zhou Ziong, he was silent on the other end of the phone for a full minute. Su ran. His voice was slightly choked. I don't know what to say. This favor is too great. Then repay it with your acting skills. I said lightly. Don't embarrass me, and don't betray Director Zhang's trust. I definitely will, he pledged solemnly. After hanging up the phone, I looked out at the night scenery, feeling inexplicably good. Perhaps this is the meaning of money and power. It can be used not only for revenge but also to protect those you want to protect, to realize the dreams you wish to fulfill. At that moment, my personal phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I picked up the phone, and a sharp, frenzied voice of a woman came through. Su ran. You bitch. Why are you doing this to me? It was Bai Weiwei. I frowned, not expecting she could still get hold of my private number. You destroyed me. You ruined everything for me. I have nothing left now. Are you satisfied? Are you happy? She screamed hysterically. I'm telling you. Su ran. Don't be so pleased with yourself. If I'm not doing well, you won't be either. I still have your stuff. What stuff? I asked coldly. You forgot. The diary you left with me. She let out a triumphant laugh. It contains a lot of your sweet past with Xinyi. What do you think? If I handed it to the media, wouldn't everyone be very interested? The president of the prestigious Xingshi Group once loved a scumbag so humbly, so degradingly. Ha ha ha. My heart sank suddenly. That diary. I wrote it when I first got together with Xinyi, and it recorded many young girls' thoughts and my affection for him. Later, when we had conflicts, I forgot to take it with me when I moved out. I thought it had long been thrown away, but I didn't expect she still kept it. What do you want? My voice turned cold. Give me 50 million. Bai Weiwei opened her mouth wide. Give me 50 million. And I'll return the diary to you, then disappear from your life forever. Otherwise, I'll let the whole world see exactly what kind of person you Sue ran. Really are. Are you threatening me? You can understand it that way. Bai Weiwei's tone was filled with a sense of vengeful pleasure. Miss Sue. Your family is wealthy beyond measure. 50 million is hardly a drop in the bucket for you, right? Buying back your face and dignity with such a small sum is quite a bargain, isn't it? I fell silent. Bai Weiwei thought I was scared. Laughing even more wildly. I'll give you 3 days to think it over. If I don't receive the money in 3 days, the consequences are on you. With that, she hung up the phone. I held my phone tightly, my gaze gradually turning icy. She thought that by catching my weakness, she could turn the tide. Naive. She has no idea what kind of existence she has provoked. 11. I did not call the police. Nor did I immediately find someone to deal with Bai Weiwei. I merely asked Uncle Li to help me check where she was currently living. The result came back quickly. After being thrown out of her original upscale apartment, she rented a top-floor attic room in an old community, with conditions even worse than the rental place I had back then. She no longer had an assistant or a nanny by her side. Living in a state of utter despair, it seemed she was truly at her wit's end, wanting to make one last desperate attempt with that diary. I looked at the address, and a cold smile curled at the corners of my mouth. Very good. I originally wanted to give her a way out, but since she insisted on coming to meet her end, I can't be blamed for that. The next day, I went to the neighborhood where she lived alone, driving an ordinary car without a bodyguard. Following the address, I climbed up the dimly lit staircase and arrived in front of the makeshift metal shed. I knocked on the door. The door was quickly opened, and wearing a set of cheap pajamas with a bare face, Weiwei appeared before me. Seeing it was me, she was taken aback for a moment, and then a triumphant smile spread across her face. Oh, isn't this our lofty General Sue? What's up? Have you come to your senses? Here to give me money? She stepped aside to let me in. The room was a complete mess, and a sour stench of instant noodles mixed with trash permeated the air. I frowned and stood at the doorway without stepping inside. Where's the diary? I got straight to the point. Where's the money? She retorted. I'll naturally give you the money when I see the things. Bai Weiwei sneered, pulling out a pink diary from a dilapidated nightstand. It's my copy. Cash on delivery. She shook the diary in her hand, her gaze greedy. I looked at her and suddenly laughed. Bai Weiwei. Do you think you've got me under your thumb today? Bai Weiwei was taken aback for a moment, not understanding my meaning. You think I came today to make a deal with you? The smile on my face gradually grew cold. You are mistaken. I came to show you what true despair looks like. After saying that, I clapped my hands. At the staircase, 2 men in police uniforms came upstairs. When Bai Weiwei saw the police, her face instantly went pale. You called the police. She looked at me in disbelief. Extortion, involving a sum of 50 million. This is considered particularly large. I said, Miss Bai, according to the criminal law, you will probably spend the rest of your life in prison. No, you can't do this to me. Bai Weiwei finally panicked. She lunged toward me in an attempt to grab me, but was held down by the police. Sue ran. You poisonous woman. You won't die a good death. She struggled wildly, cursing. I took the diary, which was labeled as evidence, from the police and walked over to her. Me, Bai Weiwei. When you schemed to frame me and pushed me into the abyss, did you ever think about ending up like this? I gave you a chance. If you had quietly rolled out of my sight, perhaps I wouldn't have gone for the kill, but you had to challenge my bottom line. Right in front of her, I tore the diary apart, page by page. The words that once recorded my naive love have turned into a pile of fragments, falling at her dirty feet. You think these things can threaten me? You're wrong. They are nothing but the trash I threw away. And you are even less than trash. Bai Weiwei looked at the scattered pieces of paper, at my cold and resolute gaze, and finally broke down. She let out a desperate scream, her whole body going limp as the police dragged her away. I watched her silhouette, my heart unmoved. Those who are pitiable must have their share of blame. Her fate today is entirely of her own making. I turned around and left that disgusting place. As I walked out of the corridor, sunlight shone down on me once again. I took a deep breath, feeling the air was much fresher. That stupid past, along with that diary and those two people, would be completely erased from my life. 12. With the final trouble of Weiwei by resolved, my life has finally returned to its proper course. The Xingshi Group is thriving under my leadership. With my decisive methods and unique business acumen, I quickly established absolute authority within the group. The old directors who once looked down on me are now completely convinced of my abilities. And the project in the west of the city, after I personally took charge, turned from losses to profits, becoming the biggest profit growth point for the group this year. I proved with my strength that I, Su Ran, am not just a good-for-nothing relying on family background. At the same time, director Zhang's film Under the Abyss also officially started shooting. Zhou Xiang lived up to my expectations, showcasing an explosive performance that earned him continuous praise from director Zhang. After the film wrapped, it entered a tense post-production and promotional phase. With the powerful resources and promotional capabilities of the Xingshi Group, Beneath the Abyss had already garnered significant hype before its release, with everyone eagerly anticipating it. On the day of the premiere, I attended as a representative of the investors. On the red carpet, Zhou Xiang stood beside me in a sharply tailored suit. He was no longer the obscure little actor. After the baptism of this film, he had undergone a complete transformation, radiating confidence and star quality. "Thank you, Su Ran." After walking the red carpet, he sincerely said to me backstage, "Don't thank me. This is the result of your own hard work." I adjusted his bow tie. "Tonight, you are the star. Enjoy the glory that belongs to you." He looked at me, with a complex emotion swirling in his eyes, but I simply tapped his shoulder and turned to walk into the VIP section. The only help I could offer him was that much. As for his future path, he would have to walk it himself, and my own path is still very long. The movie was a great success. The exciting plot, tense pacing, and the impeccable performances of all the actors captivated the entire audience. In particular, the morally ambiguous second male lead played by Zhou Xiang became the biggest highlight of the film. At the end of the movie, thunderous applause filled the room. I know that Zhou Xiang has become popular, and indeed, that is the case. After the release of Beneath the Abyss, the box office soared, ultimately surpassing 3 billion and becoming the box office champion of the year. With this role, Zhou Xiang also won several Best Supporting Actor awards. Rising to the ranks of top male stars, he became the idol of countless girls, with a bright future ahead. As his woman behind the scenes, I also became a topic of great interest for the media. Many people speculated whether we were dating. Regarding these rumors, I neither clarified nor admitted anything. Between Zhou Xiang and me, there exists a subtle relationship that hovers just above friendship yet falls short of being lovers. He is very busy, and I am busy as well. We occasionally have a phone call to catch up on recent events, but neither of us has taken that step forward. Perhaps we are all waiting for the right moment. Perhaps we all enjoy this simple and pure relationship right now. 13. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, a year has passed. This year, a lot has happened. Starshine Entertainment has been completely transformed under my sweeping reforms, becoming one of the top 2 agencies in the industry. As for Xingyuan Technology, after losing the support of Xingshi and being comprehensively suppressed by us, it ultimately couldn't hold on and announced its bankruptcy. Chen Yi, once the pride of the heavens, has also fallen from the clouds into the mire. I heard that in order to pay off his debts, he sold his company, mansion, and sports car, and ended up deep in debt. He became completely dejected. He came to see me a few more times, but I turned him away each time. The last time was on a rainy night, with heavy downpours. As I stepped out of the company building after working overtime, I saw him standing in the rain with a tattered umbrella, drenched and looking disheveled. Upon seeing me, his eyes lit up, and he stumbled over as if trying to rush towards me. My bodyguard immediately stepped forward to block him. Ran. He shouted my name hoarsely through the curtain of rain. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I was blinded. I was deceived by that bitch Weiwei. Can you forgive me? Please. Can we start over? Please. He cried like a child, his face indistinguishable between the rain and his tears. I stood under the eaves, quietly watching him. There was not a ripple in my heart, and I even found it somewhat laughable. Chen Yi, I spoke, my voice slightly drifting amidst the sound of the rain. Do you know? The saddest thing about you isn't that you were blind and misjudged someone. It's that even now, you still don't understand where you went wrong. He stared at me in a daze, not comprehending my meaning. You are wrong in being so conceited. You think the whole world should revolve around you, that all women should bow down to you. You enjoy what I give, yet covet the beauty of Bai Weiwei. What you've always wanted was never love, but to satisfy your pathetic desire for conquest. You don't love me. You're just used to my kindness. You don't love Bai Weiwei. You just like the vanity she brings you. So, put away your cheap tears. I won't forgive you. Not because I hate you, but because. I paused and spoke those most cruel words, word by word. You don't deserve it. After I said that, I didn't glance at him again and turned to sit in the car. In the rearview mirror, his figure grew smaller and blurrier in the rain. I knew, from this moment on, this person would completely vanish from my world. 14. As the year-end approached, the company held a grand annual meeting. The location is at the city's most luxurious 7-star hotel. As the highest leader of the group, I naturally have to attend. The annual meeting venue was dazzling with stars. All the executives, employees, as well as cooperating stars, directors, and partners under the group gathered together. I was wearing a stunning red evening gown, mingling among the crowd with a wine glass in hand, sharing laughter and conversation with various people. The person I am now has long shed the naivety and immaturity of my earlier days. Every gesture and movement exudes the calmness and confidence of someone in a position of power. Many people came forward to toast me, saying all sorts of flattering words. I smiled and responded to each one, but inside, I felt a bit bored. At that moment, a familiar figure appeared in my sight. It was Zhou Xiang. He came today too. As soon as he appeared, he became the center of attention. Countless people surrounded him, eager to get closer to him. He handled it all but kept searching for something in the crowd. When he saw me, his eyes lit up, and he made his way through the crowd toward me. Mr. Su. He stood in front of me, a familiar, roguelike smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Just call me Su Ran. I looked at him and smiled as well. All right. Saran. He took a glass of champagne from the server's tray and handed it to me. Congratulations for bringing this glorious era to a new height. And congratulations to you too. I clinked my glass with his. I became the youngest Best Actor. Not long ago, he won the Best Actor award at the Golden Chilean Awards for his outstanding performance in another film. We exchanged a smile, and everything was left unsaid. Do you have time? Want to go out for a walk? He suggested. I nodded. We crossed the bustling banquet hall and arrived at the hotel's rooftop terrace. The cold wind of the winter night brushed against my face. A bit chilly, but it cleared my mind. The terrace is very quiet, offering a view of the dazzling nightscape of the entire city. It's beautiful. Zhou Xiang leaned against the railing, expressing his thoughts. Yes. I gazed at the distant lights of countless homes, feeling a bit dazed. A year ago, I was still trapped in that tiny rented room, thinking my life had reached its end. Yet here I stand a year later, holding the highest power and wealth of this city. Life is truly wonderful, Saran. Zhou Xiang suddenly turned his head and looked at me seriously. I have something to tell you. My heart, inexplicably, skipped a beat. You go ahead. He took a deep breath, as if mustering great courage. I like you, not as a friend, but in the way a man likes a woman. It started when we were filming that web drama together. I know I was never good enough for you before. You were so wonderful, so dazzling, while I was just a poor kid playing minor roles. So, I have been trying hard, working hard in acting, working hard to earn money, working hard to make myself better. I hope that one day, I will be worthy to stand by your side. Now, I've done it. I've become the best actor. I have my own studio. I'm no longer that poor kid with nothing. So, he knelt on one knee and took out a velvet box from his pocket. When he opened it, inside was a dazzling diamond ring. Saran, would you be willing to give me a chance to take care of you for a lifetime? His gaze was sincere and passionate. I looked at him, at the ring in his hand, and for a moment I couldn't find the words. I didn't expect him to confess to me in such a way. My heart is in turmoil. I admit, I have feelings for him. He is kind, genuine, hardworking, and talented. In my lowest moment, he was the only one who reached out to me. However, liking and loving are not the same. The failed relationship with Shenyi instilled in me an instinctive fear and distrust of love. I am afraid of being hurt again. Afraid that I might tread the same path once more. Xiang, I struggled to speak. You don't have to answer me right now. He seemed to see through my hesitation, stood up, and gently placed the ring in my palm. I know you have concerns. It's fine. I can wait. The day you are willing to believe in love again. He smiled at me, a smile as warm as the winter sun. Go inside. It's cold out here. Having said that, he turned and walked back to the banquet hall first. I stood alone on the terrace, holding the ring that still carried his warmth. My heart filled with mixed emotions. Perhaps I should try to be brave once more. 15. After the annual meeting, my life returned to its usual tranquility and busyness. I did not return the ring to Zhou Xiang, nor did I agree to his pursuit. The distance between us still maintained that kind of ambiguous closeness. He no longer pressured me, but like before, he would occasionally send me a message or make a call, showing concern for my life and sharing his joys and sorrows with me. He was like a warm beam of sunlight, shining on me from a comfortable distance. It made me feel very comfortable and at ease. In the spring, my parents returned from their travels around the world. As soon as they came back, they launched an all-out marriage pressure campaign on me. Ran, you see, you're not young anymore. It's time to think about personal matters, right? My mom held my hand, speaking earnestly. Last time I had tea with your Aunt Wang, she mentioned her son had just graduated from Oxford. He's tall and handsome. Should we arrange for you two to meet? My dad chimed in from the side. Yeah, that Zhou Xiang. Although he's a big star now. Being an actor isn't exactly a stable profession. It's better to find someone from a matching background. I was left feeling overwhelmed. Dad, Mom, you don't need to worry about me. I know what I'm doing. What do you know? My mom shot me a glare. If you really knew what you were doing, you wouldn't have been so badly fooled by that guy named Shen last time. Mentioning Shenyi made my dad's expression darken as well. Don't mention that bastard thing to me. If it weren't for Ran stopping me, I would have made him spend the rest of his life picking up soap in prison. I looked at them and smiled helplessly. I knew they meant well. They were afraid I would be hurt again. Dad, Mom, you can rest assured. I looked at them seriously. I have grown up. I know what I want. And I also know how to protect myself. As for matters of the heart, just let them flow naturally. When fate arrives, It will come on its own. Seeing my firm attitude, they didn't dare to say much more. However, from that point on, my mom's arrangements for blind dates never ceased. It's not some financial tycoon, but rather a rising star in the political arena. Each one of them is exceptional. Coming from prestigious backgrounds, I was incredibly annoyed, but I couldn't outright refuse my mother's goodwill, so I had to brace myself and deal with it. The outcome was predictable. Those so-called young talents either excessively brag about themselves in front of me, appearing quite greasy, or they show an excessive interest and intention towards my identity as the CEO of the Xingshi Group. None of them are appealing to me. In comparison to them, Zhou Xiang's sincerity and purity seem even more precious. That day, I was once again forced by my mom to meet some AI expert graduated from Harvard. I really didn't want to go, so I had Xiaochen help me come up with an excuse, saying there was an urgent matter at the company that I had to cancel. In the evening, I was in the office alone working overtime, dealing with a mountain of files. Suddenly, it started pouring rain outside. Looking out at the flashing lightning and rumbling thunder, I suddenly felt a bit lonely. At that moment, my phone rang. It was Zhou Xiang. "Hello. Still at work?" His voice carried a hint of amusement. "Well, how did you know?" I guessed. "You're just a workaholic." He paused and asked, "It's raining outside. Did you bring an umbrella?" "No. I knew it." He chuckled. "Wait for me at the office. I'll come pick you up." "No need. It's too much trouble. I'll have my driver." "Don't talk nonsense. Just wait." After he finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Half an hour later, his car arrived punctually at the company building. He held a large black umbrella and ran to the entrance to meet me. The rain soaked his shoulders, but he didn't mind at all. "Let's go. I'll take you home." He naturally took the bag from my hand. I got into his car, where the heating was on and soothing music played. I watched his profile as he drove, his features sharp and his gaze focused. A warm rush suddenly surged within. Perhaps happiness is this simple. It's when you're tired, that there's someone who can shield you from the wind and rain. It's when you're lonely, that there's someone who can be by your side. The car stopped downstairs at my home. The rain had already stopped. The fresh smell of wet earth lingered in the air. "Thank you, Xiang." Before getting out of the car, I said to him, "Why are you being so polite with me?" He smiled. I looked at him, hesitated for a moment, and finally made a decision. I took out the velvet box from my bag and opened it. Then, I took the ring out from inside and slipped it onto my ring finger. It fit perfectly. Zhou Xiang watched my actions, stunned. His eyes were first filled with disbelief, and then overwhelmed by a tremendous joy. "Suruin, you." I looked up at him, a genuine smile spreading across my face. "Zhou Xiang, I've made up my mind. I am willing to give you a chance, and also give myself a chance." In that moment, I saw his eyes redden. He said nothing, but suddenly pulled me into his arms. His embrace was strong and warm. I leaned against him, listening to the powerful beat of his heart, feeling an unprecedented sense of peace and stability within me. I thought, this time, I did not make the wrong choice. The ending. My relationship with Zhou Xiang was soon made public. No concealment, no hype. We simply posted a photo of us holding hands on Weibo. The caption read, "In the days to come, please take care of me, the other party." Weibo crashed again, but this time, the comment section was filled not with insults and curses, but with heartfelt blessings. "Ah, the couple I ship has become real. Can we just head to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now?" The Queen and the Movie King. What a divine combination. They are so perfect together. I've finally waited for this day. After all this time. It's still you. Blessings 99. My parents saw the news and called me immediately. My mom was so excited on the phone that she could hardly speak coherently. Ran. You're with Xiang. Oh wow. That's great. I've had my eye on that boy for a while. He's ambitious and down-to-earth. Much better than those so-called experts. My dad unusually didn't oppose either. He just snorted and said, "That kid has some eye for talent. Let him come over for dinner another day. I need to assess him personally." I knew they had agreed. My love with Zhou Xiang is very simple and quite plain. There are no grand vows or earth-shattering romantic moments. We are just like the most ordinary lovers in this world. When he's filming, I would visit the set and bring him the bento I made myself. When I'm busy with work, he would cancel all social engagements to come to the office and keep me company while I work overtime. We would go to the movies together, shop at the supermarket, travel, and also bicker over little things like who does the dishes. But we have never truly blushed, because we all understand the importance of cherishing and embracing. 2 years later, on a sunny afternoon, we held our wedding in a church filled with white roses. The wedding was simple, with only our closest relatives and friends invited. I wore the wedding dress my dad designed for me, linking my arm with his, walking step by step towards the man who had waited for me for so long. He stood in the light, looking at me, smiling like a child. At the moment of exchanging rings, I looked at him and softly said, "Zhou Xiang, thank you. Thank you for making me believe in love again." He looked at me too, his gaze as gentle as a spring stream. "Surprisingly, thank you as well. Thank you for being willing to be my light." After the wedding, we left the church amidst the blessings of family and friends. Once we got into the car, Zhou Xiang suddenly said to me, "By the way, there's someone who asked me to give you a message." "Who?" "Chen Yi." Hearing this name, I was taken aback for a moment. I hadn't heard anything about him for a long time. He opened a small noodle shop in a remote little city, married a very ordinary woman, and had a child. Zhou Xiang said, "I was doing charity work some time ago and happened to run into him. He was surprised to see me and looked quite downcast. He asked me to tell you that he's doing well now. He also hopes that you can do well." I fell silent. There is no hatred in my heart, nor any resentment, only a sense of relief left. Perhaps this is the best ending. We have all found our own lives and are bearing the consequences of our choices. What are you thinking? Zhou Xiang took my hand. I came to my senses and smiled at him. I was just thinking about what we should eat tonight. He found it amusing and gave my nose a playful poke. "Listening to you, my dear wife. Outside the car window, the sun is just right, and the breeze is gentle." I lean against his shoulder, gazing into the distance. I know that my future will be as clear and sunny as this weather, with not a cloud in sight, because my life has never relied on others' definitions. I am my own, a mansion within myself.